Mics are hot. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to our Huntington Live Chat today here from Nationwide Arena. Blue Jackets in between games. Last night they played in Washington against the Capitals, and on Friday night they will play in Philadelphia against the Flyers. I'm Bob McElligott, and the guest on our Huntington Live Chat today is Blue Jackets enforcer Jared Boll. Jared, thanks for taking a couple of minutes to come in today.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Now, it's been obviously a very rough stretch for you guys over these last 8-9 games. Things are not going your way. Sometimes when it looks like they're going your way, by the end of the game, it hasn't gone your way whatsoever. You know, I always talk to you about being a guy that's been here through the good times and the bad times. What's the feeling? What's the mood? What is it like in that dressing room right now in the midst of this streak that you guys are in?
I mean, it's tough. Obviously, you don't want to, start the year off like this and put yourself in a hole. But I mean, we gotta stick together as a team and as a group and worry about that next game and getting back on the winning track and feeling that winning feeling again in the room and the excitement. And it's hard right now, but we just got to keep our emotions high and just keep moving forward and getting better.
The way things have gone throughout this winless streak, there were some games where maybe you weren't in them much at all, but then there were other games like the last two where you got down early and you came roaring back and really had a chance to come back and at least tie late in the game. That was true against Tampa here on Saturday. It was true in Washington last night. And yes, you didn't come all the way back and tie it or have a chance to win in overtime, but what can you take out of those games, especially the third periods of those games where you're playing hard and you're giving yourselves that chance?
Yeah, we go back and and watch tape, and there are some good stuff we can take out of the games, but for the most part, it's given that 60-minute effort throughout the game. It's tough. Teams are too good in this league to spot them 2, 3, 4 goal leads like we have been doing, and obviously we've shown that we can fight back, but it's hard to come back when you dig yourself that big of a hole. So we just got to focus on our starts coming out of the gate better and playing a full 60 minutes, and we'll be all right.
I thought another positive about last night's game is Alexander Ovechkin was all over the place early in that game, and he scored 2 goals, and he was looking for that third one. He never found it, and I thought as that game went on, he became more of a non-factor in that game. It's hard to take a guy like that and not have him be a big factor. And I guess I could go back to Saturday's game. Steven Stamkos wound up with an assist in that game, but I mean, these are elite players that as a team you found a way to kind of compartmentalize or shut down to an extent to where they weren't hurting you. Unfortunately, other guys did get the job done. I understand that, but is that one of the positives when you have those kind of guys and you find a way to start to lock down and shut those types of players down?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously good that those guys weren't controlling the whole game, and we found a way to take them out of it. But saying that, I mean, it just shows how deep teams are now. It's not. If one guy's not going, it's another line, or it's the third line or fourth line. That's why, for our team especially, we have to have all 4 lines going too, because you're not going to have it every night, and that's when you need the other guys in the room to come pick you up.
All right, Jared Boll is with us here today on this Huntington Live Chat, and of course, the premise of this is for you to be able to ask questions through Twitter. So let's do that, and let's start getting those questions right now with the very first one here. It says, this is from Courtney. It says, if and when the team gets back to full health, how physical of a game do you think that you and the team will play? Will you be afraid of more injuries?
No. I mean, you can't ever come out in the game saying, "Oh, we're not going to be as physical, or we're going to lay off here because we don't want guys to get hurt." I think that's the identity of our team is hard to play against and being physical and making it miserable for the opposition. So, no, I mean, we're going to play the same way we have. Like I said, that's our identity, and we got to get back to that. And I mean, obviously, we want a full, healthy lineup, but it doesn't always go like that in this sport, and we just got to worry about the guys that are in the lineup and getting back to the way we play.
And isn't it true to some extent that if you back off, if you're playing not to get injured, that's usually when you do get injured, because now you're altering what you normally do. So you just have to go out and play the same kind of game no matter what the history has been.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's when you're thinking about it and kind of hesitant about it is when you end up getting hurt. It's I mean, when you go out there, you just got to go full speed and give it everything. And I mean, if you get hurt, you get hurt. There's nothing you can do about it. But like you said, I think it's when you hold back and stuff, that's when you see guys getting hurt.
Do you feel for these guys that have been out for long periods of time? Because last year that was you. I mean, there was a long time you were on the shelf with an injury and had to watch the games from the press box, and now you happen to be in there night in and night out. But I'm sure you can sympathize with some of these guys like Brandon Dubinsky and Mark Letestu and Artem Anisimov who have missed a lot of time.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you can be around the room and be up in the stands and be a cheerleader, but it's tough when you're watching your teammates out there battling every night and you really can't do anything about it. And it was a hard thing to go through last year. I know what those guys are going through. They're in here every day doing their best, doing everything they can to get healthy and get back out on the ice. So it's tough, but they've been good, and we're excited to hopefully get some guys back here in the future.
You talk about being a cheerleader in the press box, and I want to ask you about that whole situation. You said those guys are coming in, they're doing their work, but when you're injured and you're not in the lineup, you're around, but you're not there. You're not in the room. You kind of, to an extent, you kind of lose your voice, don't you? You can't go in and talk to other guys about the way they are playing or the way that they aren't playing when you're not playing. So you kind of have to wait until you're back in the lineup to get that voice back.
Yeah, I mean, yeah and no. I mean, you're watching the games, so you're obviously seeing what's going on. So, and the guys that are out, they're veteran leader guys. So if they want to come in and tell you what they see, I mean, they're not doing it to say you're playing bad or doing it to get mad at you. They're doing it to help you. And I think those guys do have a voice where they can definitely say that, even though they're not in the lineup. They're just trying to help us and trying to help us win some hockey games.
Do you see any of that happening right now?
Yeah, I mean, there's some guys after games. I mean, obviously not during the game, they're not coming down, but after games and practice days, they're giving their input and what they see, and that's good. I mean, even if you're injured, we need everyone on board and pulling the same way. All
right, let's get to another question here. And this one is from Jordan Nicole Mitchell. What is your favorite thing about playing hockey?
Well, obviously I love the sport. I've been doing it since I was a young kid, so it's given me everything I got right now. And I think the most thing is just the big thing for me is a team sport. It's not like golf or tennis where you're it's you're by yourself and that's it. It's there's 20, 23, 24, 25 guys in the room or whatever, all trying to achieve the same goal, and there's no better feeling than being on a winning team when you work so hard as a group to accomplish something. So I love the team camaraderie. I love the competitiveness about hockey, how it's physical and sometimes emotions get high and get the better of you, but for the most part it's an exciting game, and I don't think there's another sport like it.
Did you play other sports as a kid?
Yeah, I did. When I was growing up, just like any other kid, my parents wanted me to, at least try everything. They didn't want me to just do hockey. So, but I was at a pretty young age. I realized that that's all I really wanted to do was play hockey.
What else did you play?
I played soccer for a little bit.
How many guys did you take out during a soccer game?
I don't know. Not many. I don't think I was.
Did you go with slide tackles or just forearms in soccer?
Yeah, I don't know if I was as physical as I am now when I was a younger kid, but
in baseball is a different mentality. You don't tend to play the same way on baseball.
No, baseball, I tried that for a little bit, but it didn't go too far, and golf a little bit, but for the most part, hockey was the main thing.
You talk about emotions running high in this sport, and how much of it is because you're kind of locked in. I mean, there are walls, there's glass. You're locked in a small area. You can't avoid a hit. It's not like football. You can't run out of bounds. You're going to get hit. It's going to happen. How much does that up the intensity of the game? Just the fact that you're kind of in that confined space. You know you're going to get hit, and sometimes you get mad about it.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. I mean, when you're on the ice, there's definitely nowhere to run and hide. Sometimes you got to stick up for yourself, and you got to stick up for other guys, and it's fun. I mean, it's a fast, physical, exciting game, and I think the way we play when we're playing our game is an exciting brand of hockey too.
All right, let's go to another question from Connor B. How does it feel to wear an A on your sweater? as an assistant captain? And again, this is a team that doesn't have a true designated captain right now. You have a lot of leaders. What does it mean to you that you're able to wear that letter on your sweater?
I mean, obviously it's an honor to be even in, say you're in a leadership role or a leadership group on an NHL team. It's something pretty special. I pride myself in coming to the rink every day and trying to lead by example. Obviously, you're not going to be the best player out there every single night, but as long as you're doing the things right and working on getting better and doing the right things off the ice and trying to help the younger guys, it's real special that the guys look up to me and ask me questions, and it's fun to be in this role, and like I said, it's just an honor.
How much have you learned in the time that you've been here watching the guys before you, and especially the veteran guys that when you were a younger player you might have looked up to or looked to for advice or whatever the case may be? Who are some of the guys that have come through here that taught you how to be the leader that you've become today?
Yeah, I mean, we had, when I was my first couple years, I mean, we had real veteran guys like Adam Foote, Jody Shelley was here, Michael Pekka, Freddie Modine, guys like that have won Stanley Cups and won gold medals and been on some pretty good teams and played with some pretty good players. So for me to be here that young and learn from those guys is pretty special. It seems like the league just keeps getting younger and younger. So there's not many of those guys around, but I just remember picking up a lot from them. The thing about hockey too, it's not always the superstar. You don't always have to be the superstar player, the best player on the team to be a leader and have a voice in the room. Obviously, you just need to show up every night and like I said, just do the right things on and off the ice and be a good teammate and be a good person around the rink. And I learned a lot of those qualities from a lot of those guys.
You just said the league is getting younger and younger, and you're right. You look around, and now you're probably looking around and saying, how did I get so old? And you're not even old. But do you think it misses something when you don't have those teams that have 4 or 5 of those guys like you just mentioned? How does that change the whole dynamic of a team?
I mean, obviously, it's good for when you're a young guy to have guys to bounce stuff off of, because you're learning on the go. You're learning by your mistakes. I think another guy that was real huge for this team was Effelaka when we had Adrian Aucoin here, because the team was kind of a lot of new guys, kind of didn't know which direction to go, and I think he was a veteran guy that really came in here and helped lead the way. And yeah, I mean, it's good, and I think every team should have a couple older guys. You know, it's good to have them around, and as cliche as it sounds, I mean, it does help when guys are around. I mean, I know as if maybe a fan or someone watching the game, you're saying that guy's not playing every night, or, you know, why is he here? But it does help to have those guys in the room and really lead the way and just show by example.
Let me ask you this question too. Let me just pick Alexander Wenberg as an example. He's a different player than you are, obviously. You have different kind of roles, but you're the veteran guy that has been here. What can you do to help a guy like that when you don't play the same kind of game? What approach do you take with those types of young players? Is it just about the off-ice stuff and how to conduct yourself in the NHL, or how do you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of everything. Obviously, yeah, like you said, we're completely different players, but I mean, it's not different when you just work hard. It's especially your practice habits and doing stuff like that, because the way you practice and the way you take care of your body and do stuff off the ice, it's going to translate out into games. So stuff like that that can really help a young guy, and just make sure that he feels comfortable and feels welcome in the room, and if he has any questions, whether it's hockey or about other stuff, because you know, I've gone through quite a bit here in the last 8 years I've been here. So yeah, whether it's hockey or just life in general, it's good to have those guys to be able to talk to.
Do you leave that conversation saying, oh, and by the way, if I have anything for you, I'll just come right back to you. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's go to our next question here on Twitter and see what we have. Christy wants to know, Victor, who is 8, and Annika, who is 5, wonder if you always played the same position And at what age did you start playing?
I've always played forward. Yeah, I think when you're younger, you kind of play every different position on the ice. You don't really know what position you're playing. But for the most part, I've been on the wing my whole life. Always played forward, and I think I started playing younger, around 5 or so, and got into hockey. And my dad got me into some leagues, and just kept playing from there.
When what was I going to say here? When you, at one point in time, I would imagine that you were one of the better players, if not the best player on your team. I mean, that's the way it works. As kids, you know, you're the best players, and then as you get older and everybody's skill set goes up. I mean, here you are playing in the NHL. So do you remember a time when you were maybe one of the dominant forwards on your team?
Yeah, I mean, I want to say, you know, the best player out there, because there was always players better than me. But I mean, it helps too when you're going through junior and major junior when you're on good teams, because it makes you look a lot better than you are. And when I was going through, you know, even midgets and juniors, I was playing with some pretty good players, so it helped. Helped me look better than I really was, I think. So.
Keep your stick on the ice, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Just be there. Be in the right spot. All right, next question is coming from Matt Pfeffer. What kind of music do you listen to on game day to get your adrenaline going?
I don't know, a little bit of everything. This team's been a little different than the past teams. You know, we got a little bit of rap, and some guys have some techno going, so been getting into that, whatever. I don't really worry about the radio too much in the room. Other guys do that, so I don't really care too much.
Who's the guy? Who's the lead DJ? Who's the mix master? Whatever you want to call him. Who's in charge of that?
So well, on practice days, I know Foligno has the iPod or whatever in his hand a lot. He's picking some. But it's good because he's got the country going and some stuff on days off and on practice days that you want to listen to. And during the games, since Hartsy's been here, he's kind of taken control of that, and there's been no complaints, so it's been good.
Now, during a streak like this, you don't fire the DJ and put somebody else in charge, do you?
I don't know. We might have to start. Got to try something new.
All right, next question comes from Mallory. It says, who are the toughest players you've ever fought?
I don't know. There's been quite a few, obviously. McGrattan has got to be up there. He's probably one of the tougher guys in the league, still playing. Bugard, when he was in Minnesota, he was probably the toughest guy I ever fought. Brashear was pretty tough. I fought him when he was in New York. Obviously, Jody when he was in San Jose. But yeah, those guys are pretty tough. There's not a ton of them left in the league, but.
I was just going to ask you that. You just named 4 guys. One of them, Brian McGrattan, is the only guy that's still in the league right now. It has changed. And how has that changed you as a player, where you're not necessarily just going out there to line up against that other team's tough guy? You have a lot of responsibilities now.
Yeah, you definitely got to change your game, and for me, I think it's just been doing a lot of extra stuff after practice and working with coaches, because I mean the league's fast, and every team's playing 4 lines, so you gotta be ready when called upon, and you got to be able to play nowadays.
Next question comes from Shade. Has the return of Boone Jenner and all of the energy that he brings brought a new spark to the room?
I mean, yeah, Boone's a huge part of the team. He's been good for us. It's great to have him back, but I think a real important thing for this team is it's not going to be one guy coming back that's going to, turn everything around. I think this team needs everyone pulling in the right direction. I mean, obviously we want to get Doobie and Testy and Artie and Bob. It'd be nice to have those guys back in the lineup. So I think it's obviously been real nice having Boone back and back in the lineup, because he's a real good player, and he just goes out there and works and leads by example. So it's good to have him back and the energy that he brings. But like I said, we need all guys going. It can't just be one guy or one line for us to be successful.
But if everybody could come back with the same energy he's brought in these last couple of games, that would be huge for this team, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's huge for us. He shows up every night and works hard and creates a lot of good stuff for our team.
All right, Jackie has the next question, and this is pretty broad, maybe too broad, but we'll find out here. If I asked you to go and pick out one favorite moment with this organization, can you narrow it down to just one?
I think the highest point of my time here has definitely been last year in the playoffs. My first year I think it was my second year, but my first time in the playoffs, I think we got swept, and it was we were just happy to make it. And last year, getting into the playoffs, and we weren't satisfied with just making it. I think when we lost there in Game 6, guys were really disappointed because as the playoffs go on and you see teams like New York and Montreal and how far they go, and you're sitting there thinking, there's no reason why that can't be us in that same position. So last year during the playoffs was pretty exciting, and those playoff games at home were really good.
You're back in almost that same position this year that you were last year, where this hasn't turned out to be the good start you had hoped. And I know you guys don't want to use injuries as an excuse, but it is a fact of life. Not having a lot of guys in has contributed to the start that you're off to. Does it mean anything that you guys have been able to rally the last 2 years? Having that experience doing it before, you didn't want to do it, but you can. Can you use that for anything?
I think so. I mean, it helps. You don't want to ever put yourself in this position and say, oh, we've done it before so we can do it again, because that's not always how it works out. But on the other hand, it's good to have gone through it before and know that it's possible, and not looking where we are in the standings or at our record and saying, oh my gosh, here we go again. We're way too out. The season's already over. So it's good to have gone through it before, and we know that we can do it, and we got the guys in the locker room and the guys on the team that can do it. So now it's just a matter of time, or it's a matter of going out there and doing it and producing and getting wins.
All right, the next question today comes from Kay. On your off days, what are your favorite things to do in Columbus?
I don't know. It's during the summer, it's a lot different than during the season, because during the season, it's nice to just go home and relax, go out, get lunch, hang out at home. But for the most part, I can't really think of something that I do on the off days. It just depends on what I got.
It's not
going
that many,
on.
right?
Yeah.
What do you get? 4 a month?
Yeah, I think so.
And a lot of times those are on the back end of a trip.
Yeah,
you just come in from somewhere.
You'll sleep in.
Right.
That's probably the funnest thing I look forward to the most on off days is not waking up to an alarm clock and sleeping in.
I can ask you this question because you've been here throughout, and you can understand it and talk about it more than most. The difference between playing in the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. This is what I found, and tell me if you agree with this. When you're in the West, and I know the game times for the fans, they stink because so many games are starting late. However, from a travel standpoint, you're going long distances, but you seem to go in chunks of time. In the Eastern Conference, you're going short distances, which means that you're always going somewhere, it seems. We're in Washington last night, leave on Monday, go to Washington, play a game, come back. Here we are today at home. Tomorrow you guys will get on the plane and go right out to Philadelphia. It's different. The trips are shorter, but do you feel like you're always on the go and you're always heading somewhere, which leads into that day off, having time just to kind of chill out and say, wow, I don't have to go anywhere today?
Yeah, I've talked to a few people about that, because I remember when we made the move to the East, everyone was saying how it's less travel and you'll be in your bed by midnight or 12:30 after games. But it doesn't feel like it's less travel. I think, like you said, it's less distance, but at least in the West, yeah, you go on the road for a week, but then you're home for a week and a half, 2 weeks, or whatever it is. In the East, it just seems like you're here one night, gone, so you just always leave your bag packed. It's it's a one-day trip, so you don't need much, so you just get ready and go for the day and come back.
So if I see you wearing the same shirt in Philadelphia you were wearing yesterday in Washington, you just leave it in the same bag.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't leave my hotel room much, so there you go. You won't be seeing me.
All right, next question comes from Dennis Kelly II. When, not if, but when this team makes the playoffs, who would you like to face first? Is it fair to say right now you'd take on anybody because that would mean you're in?
Yeah, I like Dennis's attitude there. No, it's you know what, once you get, I think you've heard this saying is rivalries are made in the playoffs. So it's not like you go into the playoffs wanting to play a specific team. It's once you're in, and it's ready to go. So I mean, anyone in the East, it would be good to play in the first round just to get in and be ready to go.
You guys made a pretty good rivalry with Pittsburgh last year, and you haven't even seen them this year, which now that I'm just thinking about that, might be a good thing. Hopefully by the time you run into them, you're back at full strength, which will make for a much more exciting season series, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they're always fun to play. They're only about a 3-hour drive or so from us, so it's good every time we play them.
All right, next question coming from Heather. Do you have any advice for someone who just started to learn how to play hockey?
I don't know who started to learn how to play hockey. Is it an adult or a kid? That's a tough question. Obviously,
yeah.
I mean, I would just say for the most part, have fun. If you're not having fun with what you're doing, then there's really no point to doing it. I mean, even for us, I mean, hockey's a job and it's what we do. But at the end of the day, it's still a sport, and it still should be fun. And that's what you grew up doing. And so I'd just say have fun with it and enjoy it and just work your hardest. And I mean, take it as long as you can.
How about if you're an adult, get ready to fall because you're going to fall. So take advantage of all the padding that you have.
Wear extra padding. Yeah, that would be my advice.
All right, next one says, Joanne from Florida, you really seem faster this year. What type of training did you do in the summer to help you with your speed?
I mean, my training's kind of changed as the year has gone on. I think my body's just kind of taken a toll a little bit and tells me to slow down every once in a while. But a lot of stuff, just explosive stuff, a lot of legs and core and I mean, for the most part, I just feel healthy for once in a while. Obviously, you're just fighting injuries, and it's tough to get up to speed, and you miss so much time with practice and games, so you just lose that extra step. But when you have a full summer and full training camp of feeling healthy, I think that's been the biggest difference.
All right. Next question coming up is coming from Zach. And Zach's question is, how does Coach Todd Richards motivate everybody, especially during the streak that you guys are going through right now? Or is it more up to veteran players like yourself to get the best out of your teammates?
It's a good question. Obviously, Richie, he does what he can to motivate us and get us going, but it really does come up to the guys in the room and the guys on the ice. The coaches put a game plan out there for us, and they do everything they can to get us ready for the game, but it's up to the guys in the room and the guys on the ice to go out there and lead by example and really get the team going. And I mean, yeah, that's a great question because it really is up to the guys in the room. I mean, you don't always have to be an older guy either to get the team going. I've seen young guys step up and really excite the team and bring energy. So I think it's everyone in the room pulling the same way is how we're gonna get out of this.
All right, I got one more thing for you. You mentioned your line a couple of times during this conversation, and I thought last night your line was back to being more what we've come to expect out of the fourth line on this team. And I know you had changes during the offseason. Derek McKenzie left. Michael Chaput has taken his spot for the most part on that line. I thought he's fit in very nicely. The other wing seems to be kind of a rotating thing depending upon who's healthy. But when you're out there with whoever the other two guys are, what do you have to do? What do you have to be? What contributions can you guys make? And I know that there are other lines that get more ice time than yours, but what contributions do you guys have to make to do your part to turn this thing around?
Yeah, I just think we have to make sure we're ready to go every night because, like I said, some nights we play more than other nights. So you always got to be ready to go and ready to bring that energy and be a reliable line that Richie can trust us throwing out there if the other team throws their first line out there, or their superstars, that he can trust us that we're going to be out there and do our job and get the job done. So, I mean, obviously it's a fourth line job to bring energy and just be reliable and don't put your team down, and obviously it's nice to chip into with some goals here and there, and it'd be nice to get some here in the next few games.
Yeah, absolutely. And it would be nice to go into Philadelphia and kind of spoil the party there for those people, because that's one of those cities that you'd love to go in and get that crowd to turn against that team quickly, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's a fun building to go in and play in as an opposing player. The fans are passionate. They really care about their team, but they can turn on their team just as fast as they can cheer for their team. So we want to go in there and, like he said, spoil their party.
Are they going to cheer Hartnell or boo him?
I think I think he's going to get some cheers. I think they really liked him there.
Unless he scores, then he'll get a lot of boos.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? All right.
Yeah.
Jared, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate the time here
Thanks,
today.
guys.
That's Jared Boll, and thanks to you for participating in today's Huntington Live Chat. Now, we're going to do a couple more of these December 29th, January 13th, and February 10th. The final chat is going to be exclusive to Huntington Bank customers. So wide open December 29th and January 13th. If you're a Huntington Bank customer, you can also get in on February the 10th. That's going to do it for our first Huntington Live Chat of the year. Thanks again to Jared Boll for joining us today. I'm Bob McElligott, and thank you for watching Jackets TV, presented by Ohio Health.